Welcome back to the channel. This will be the first FPL podcast of 2026. I wish you all a happy new year. Enjoy the festivities and the rest of your holidays. I'll be highlighting 11 players today to buy, hold, sell and skip with one budget pick as well. On screen you can see the most transferred in players at this point of the game week, and Gabriel is top by some distance after a massive return against Aston Villa in a 4-1 victory for Arsenal. Rodgers is second, and I think is one of the best midfielders from Game Week 20 onwards. Tarkowski, Bruno Guimaraes and Cherki complete the top 5 with Calvert-Lewin, Garner, Bowen, Pickford, Watkins, Ekitike, Semenyo, Trossard, Timber, Gordon, Wilson, Paqueta, Dorgu, Van der Ven and Saka finishing the top 20. I'll also discuss the most transferred out players towards the end of this video and keep your eyes peeled for the best wildcard squad and my team selection. Like this video, subscribe to my channel and also hit the notification bell so you're always up to date on my content, both FPL and UCL Fantasy. Let's get this video in particular to over 100 likes and closing on new goals like 38k subscribers on YouTube. Check all the links in the description for my Patreon and the championships, fair likes to my videos, proud to comments, amongst many other perks. My Discord server, the FPL League and Spotify can also be found in the description, and leave a 5-star review. It really helps us out and it's genuinely appreciated, just like all your support over the last 6 years. But without further ado, let's jump straight into it. The first purchase recommended in this calendar year is Gabriel Magalhaes, who produced a 15-pointer against Aston Villa, making him the highest scoring defender in Fantasy Premier League with 97 points. He averages 7.5 per game, which is also by far the highest in this position, with 2 goals and 2 assists. 4 big chances, which is very sustainable for a centre-back, and his ownership is 17%. It will probably get to 20% by the time we get to the Game Week 20 deadline, and his price tag is 6.4 million, making him the joint most expensive defender in the game alongside Jiri and Timber. Up next is Bournemouth away, who are winless in 10 Premier League matches, followed by Liverpool at home, Nottingham Forest away, Man United at home, and Leeds away. Those fixtures aren't particularly great, but neither was Aston Villa, and Arsenal did very well in that game. Gabriel was subbed off a bit early because he couldn't continue. He just came off the back of an injury that saw him out for 6 weeks, but I think he'll start most of these games coming up, and he makes such a big difference for Arsenal, particularly in terms of set pieces, but he's also a leader at the back and makes them even more solid. So I think the Gunners will keep more clean sheets in this time frame, and all his underlying numbers are fairly decent for a centre-back, with 10 shots overall, only 2 shots on target, and 8 shots inside the box. The XG is 1.97 and the XA is 0.7 with 3 big chances created and 4 key passes. I think Gabriel is the best defender in Fantasy Premier League, even when Daniel Munoz returns from injury in a couple of weeks' time. So I think Gabriel is a very clear purchase, and Game Week 20 is a great time to buy the Brazilian centre-back. After consecutive 15-pointers, Rodgers went on to blank against Chelsea and Arsenal, and that's why going into Game Week 18, I talked about holding Rodgers, and for those that didn't invest, to wait until Game Week 20 to buy the Aston Villa talisman. So facing Nottingham Forest at home next will be a great opportunity to buy Morgan Rodgers. He's by far the best Aston Villa asset, despite Watkins scoring 3 goals over the past 2 matches, and Rodgers should have been given the assist against Chelsea. You could definitely argue that. We talked about this in the reaction stream at the time, but Rodgers has 7 goals and 3 assists for the season, and 7 big chances created, with a lot of them happening in the last couple of game weeks. 93 FPL points is also very solid, and his ownership is template at 24.7%, and the price tag is increasing as we speak. It's currently 7.4 million, and another price rise before the Game Week 20 deadline is possible. After Forest is Crystal Palace away, Everton at home, Newcastle away, and Brentford at home. So the fixtures are decent for Aston Villa, but Rodgers is relatively fixture-proof, but I never had that sensation he would do that well against Chelsea or Arsenal, and that's why Game Week 20 will be a better time to buy the attacking midfielder who can also play on the wings. 35 shots is decent volume there for Morgan Rodgers, 15 shots on target and 19 shots inside the box. The XG is very low though at 2.42. The same goes for the XA, the expected assists at 1.96, with 3 big chances and 20 key passes. But Rodgers is a quality midfielder who can score from outside the box, and he has moments of magic as we saw against Manchester United. So Morgan Rodgers is one of the best midfielders you can buy in FPL. The first and only price rise of 2026 so far is James Tarkowski, who now costs 5.6 million, and Everton have promising fixtures on the horizon and back-to-back clean sheets under their belt. Despite Michael Keane missing out in Game Week 19, they got a solid 2-0 win against Nottingham Forest away from home. And up next is Brentford, and I don't expect Everton to keep a clean sheet here, but they are near the top of the clean sheet odds, which you'll see in the best wildcards video and my deadline stream. Afterwards is Wolves at home. That looks extremely promising in Gameweek 21, followed by Aston Villa away, Leeds at home, and Brighton away. So apart from Gameweek 22, I think Everton can keep clean sheets in all of the other games, and Tarkowski will be pivotal. Just look at the defensive contributions, 207 for the season, and Everton have plenty of DEFCON machines like Michael Keane, Garner, and Tarkowski. Now, he hasn't scored so far this season, but 1 assist is okay, and I think Tarkowski could score a goal or two by the end of the campaign. But if Keane is fit, he would be my preference because he is cheaper than Tarkowski and he offers more goal threat and arguably DEFCON potential as well. But Tarkowski has 93 FPL points, which ranks him very highly amongst defenders. His ownership is still relatively low at 9%, and I think Tarkowski will be one of the best defenders for the next 5 game weeks, and even longer term, I do like him. But 5.6 million is quite steep. He only has 5 shots this season, 2 shots on target and 5 shots inside the box. The XG is 0.76 and the XA is 0.98 with 3 big chances, 2 big chance created and 10 key passes. So those last 3 stats are quite decent, but the rest is quite underwhelming even for a central defender. But Tarkowski will be one of the best defenders in the long term, and I think Everton have looked more solid in recent weeks. Matheus Cunha has been extremely underwhelming in the last 2 game weeks, blanking against Wolves, his former club, and Newcastle. And before that, he returned in 3 consecutive games, but timing is so crucial in this game. And the next 2 fixtures are definitely good enough to keep Matheus Cunha against Leeds and Burnley away. But afterwards, it's Man City at home, Arsenal away, and Fulham at home. Cunha could return in any of those games, and back in Game Week 1, he looked quite impressive against Arsenal, but it took him a while to get his first goal contribution of the season, and he now has 3 goals and 1 assist in 16 appearances in the Premier League. His ownership is still decent at 13.6%, so he's not a template pick, nor is he differential, but Cunha definitely has the stats like the shot volume with 52 for the season to point towards sustainable returns in the long run. But I also think he has been very inconsistent this season. With 55 FPL points, his price tag is 8.2 million, 19 shots on target and 28 shots inside the box is promising. The XG is 4.48, so he has underperformed when it comes to that, and the creativity with 1 big chance created, 18 key passes, and the XA is 1.94. But only 5 big chances for himself isn't really great reading for Matheus Cunha, but when he does return, he has the ability to get bonus points, but not to the same level we saw last season at Wolves, where he was the clear talisman. But I would keep Matheus Cunha for the next 2 game weeks, but in the long run, Declan Rice when he's available, also Anthony Gordon, Bruno Guimaraes, and all these midfielders I've talked about recently, especially Morgan Rogers, they'd be far better options than Matheus Cunha. In my last deadline stream of 2025, I talked about the Declan Rice updates before the deadline locked in, and he missed out against Aston Villa, and I was quite cautious and worried for the Gunners because Rice is so important to them, but they found a way to win the game even without him. But he will be needed with the upcoming fixtures like Bournemouth away, Liverpool at home, Nottingham Forest away, United at home, and Leeds away. But I think Declan Rice is one of the best midfielders in FPL, but it's all about his availability. And we got an update from Mikel Arteta straight after that 4-1 win against Aston Villa, and he said the swelling on his knee must come right down, and he also pointed towards the possibility of Rice returning to the Arsenal squad against Bournemouth. He's improving, but let's see what happens in the next couple of days. When it comes to Declan Rice's stats, 2 goals and 7 assists marks pretty good reading with 31 key passes and 102 FPL points. The DEFCON potential is also there with over 170 for this season, and his ownership is 24.1%, but he is the most transferred out player at this point of the game week, and his price tag could go down from 7.2 million to 7.1 fairly soon. When it comes to the other underlying numbers, they're quite decent, but mainly when it comes to creativity. So 25 shots is okay, 8 shots on target, not so much, and 10 shots inside the box. The XG itself is 2.17 and the XA is 3.47, which is good, but also it marks a bit of unsustainability, you could argue, because he has 7 assists so far this season with 5 big chances, 8 big chance created, and of course the key passes looks very solid. So I think Declan Rice is worth holding on to based on the update we got from Mikel Arteta, and I think he's the best midfielder in the long run when it comes to value and consistency. Michael Keane was unavailable in that 2-0 win against Nottingham Forest in Game Week 19, and he's also in doubt to face Brentford in Game Week 20, and David Moyes gave nothing away in his press conference about Alcaraz or Keane, and he said the following: "I'm not going to give any details on that just now. I'll see how it goes over the next few days." You could argue that's a similar update to Mikel Arteta, but I think the Spaniard offered a bit more clarity when it came to Declan Rice's situation. Keane has 2 goals and 0 assists this season, 181 defensive contributions and 91 FPL points. I think Everton have decent short-term fixtures, and even beyond the next 5 game weeks, I think they can keep more clean sheets in the long run. Keane has 12 shots, 3 on target, and 10 shots inside the box, and his stats are better than Tarkowski when it comes to goal scoring, with an XG figure of 1.16, 3 big chances, but not much in terms of creativity. In fact, it's barely anything at all. 0.13 XA, 0 big chance created, and only 1 key pass. But Keane offers great value at 4.8 million. For those that invested, I think he's worth holding on to, and he remains a decent differential with under 10% ownership, and we could see that drop a little bit before the Game Week 20 deadline, but I would expect Keane to be in the lineup against either Brentford or Wolves. I would be surprised if he missed out a bit longer than that. But let's see if we get any updates from David Moyes or from reliable sources. I don't think that'll be the case. If you have enough defensive depth, I would keep Michael Keane in your FPL team. Over the past 2 weeks, we've got many reliable sources confirming that Semenyo is on the cusp of joining Man City, but Iraola talked about this after the Chelsea game, where Semenyo produced yet another return and also gave away a penalty, that he should play against Arsenal, and that could be his final game at the club, and then he'll join Man City before facing the likes of Tottenham, Brighton, Liverpool and Wolves. Now, I'll be completely honest, when it comes to Semenyo and Cunha, long term I think Semenyo is the better pick, but when it comes to timing and heading into Game Week 20 specifically, I think Cunha is a hold for the next 2 game weeks and then arguably a sell for Game Week 22, whilst with Semenyo there are some doubts, because if he does join Man City, will he be a starter in Game Week 21? We don't know that yet. And how will his role change with the Citizens? Because I don't see him being as talismanic, and he won't be on penalties for Man City like he is with the Cherries. So I think that's why Semenyo is arguably a sell right now, but we could buy him back later because he has been one of the most consistent midfielders in the game this season. Despite some rough periods in October and November, we're seeing him return in 3 consecutive games now, and Bournemouth have been terrible for quite a while, winless in 10 matches, but Semenyo is still getting some decent returns in recent matches. With 9 goals and 5 assists, the XGI, which combines the XG and the XA, that is 8.36. The FPL points is also looking very solid at 113, making him the highest scoring midfielder in the game right now, and his ownership is 46.5%, and the price tag is 7.7 million, with 45 shots, 26 shots on target, and 36 shots inside the box. The shot volume is always very impressive with Antoine Semenyo, and the XG is improving in recent weeks at 6.5. The XA needs a bit of work at 1.86, but 10 big chances, 3 big chance created, and 24 key passes are all very solid, and I think Antoine Semenyo could definitely be worth holding on to in many situations, but because of that uncertainty about his future and how long will he stay at Bournemouth, will he be there for the Tottenham game, that doesn't really look too likely, and how will his role change at Man City? Because of those reasons, I've currently got him as a sell, but I'm open-minded about this, and he could turn into a hold very soon. We already got a bombshell in 2026 about Enzo Maresca leaving Chelsea with mutual consent. There was a huge falling out between him and the board, and now we'll see who is appointed. But Liam Rosenau from Strasbourg is the top candidate to replace him right now. Even a few others like Fabregas and Oliver Glasner are being touted. But when it comes to Marc Cucurella, Maresca did provide an update a couple of days ago, and he said that he could be available against Man City this weekend. But Maresca won't be at the helm anymore, and I think Cucurella could start there against Man City. But even if that was the case, I don't like the next 4 fixtures for them. They could get a manager bounce, but I don't really back them to keep too many clean sheets, and that's why Sanchez could be displaced in the best wildcard team as well. Cucurella has no goals, 2 assists, a decent XA figure at 2.04 and 72 FPL points, but he doesn't justify that 6.1 million price tag, which went down a couple of days ago, and his ownership is 19.6%, so he's fairly template, and I think Chelsea have other ways of covering their defence with Sanchez in goal and Chalobah, and I think Reece James is currently the best when it comes to recent form, but even with his minutes, as we saw against Bournemouth, he wasn't a starter in that game, and that's always the risk with Reece James because they manage his minutes to ensure he doesn't get injured once again. Cucurella has 12 shots, only 2 on target, and 8 shots inside the box. The XG is 0.55, with 0 big chances, 3 big chance created, and 21 key passes, and he pales in comparison to Chalobah when it comes to DEFCON, and I think he's the best defender in isolation alongside Reece James to cover that Chelsea defence. And to be honest, when it comes to value, I think Robert Sanchez is even better, but the best time to invest in Chelsea is Gameweek 24 when they face West Ham at home, because Man City away, Fulham away, Brentford at home, and Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park doesn't look particularly great, and there's a lot of uncertainty about Chelsea right now, and Cucurella isn't worth that price tag in Fantasy Premier League. Marcus Senesi remains a decent FPL asset, and he's not a priority sell per se, but at 4.9 million, his level has dropped because Bournemouth aren't keeping enough clean sheets. After the first 9 matches of the season, they were second in the Premier League table, and now they're winless in 10 matches. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done with the Cherries, and their upcoming fixtures aren't great either, facing Arsenal at home, Tottenham at home, Brighton away, and Liverpool at home. But then it becomes a bit more promising from Gameweek 24 onwards, facing Wolves away, and that's where you could back them for a clean sheet. And Senesi is a DEFCON machine with 232 for the season, no goals, but 3 assists. His creativity is quite underrated, and the ownership is 15.5%, with 81 FPL points, a decent price tag overall, only 7 shots and 3 on target, 3 shots inside the box. The XG is minimal at 0.6, but the expected assist is 2.28, with 1 big chance, 4 big chance created, which is very impressive, and 17 key passes. So the Argentine is still decent, but I think there are better options elsewhere. Maybe a Newcastle defender like Lewis Hall or Chow, Michael Keane when he's available. You've also got Gabriel and Timber. I think Arsenal are worth doubling up on defensively in the long run. Even Virgil van Dijk or Konate would be better choices than Senesi at this moment in time, and plenty more that came from that have been covered in my recent wildcard and Transfers podcasts. So I think Marcus Senesi is a sell, but he's still a decent FPL asset in the grand scheme of things. Ollie Watkins scored on his 30th birthday against Arsenal. It was inevitable, and despite it being a consolation goal, that's pretty good form there for the Aston Villa striker, with 3 goals over the last 2 game weeks. And up next is Nottingham Forest at home, so I think Watkins could be considered for the captaincy as a massive differential in terms of the EO when it comes to putting the armband on him anyway. With 7.8% ownership, 6 goals and 2 assists marks decent reading, and after a pretty poor start to the campaign where it took him quite a while to score his first Premier League goal, which came against Fulham, he has kicked on ever since, and even as a substitute, he can make the difference, with that brace against Chelsea being very telling. The XG is very healthy at 7.19, and 72 FPL points is slow but steady, and I think over the next 5 game weeks he could reach 100 FPL points in the process. There is Crystal Palace away in Gameweek 21, Everton at home in 22, then it's Newcastle away and Brentford at home, but the standout fixture is up next against Nottingham Forest, and I think Aston Villa could score plenty of goals and create multiple chances in that game. Watkins has 38 shots and 36 inside the box, but only 15 on target. The XA is 0.69, with 13 big chances, 1 big chance created, and 11 key passes, and Watkins has decent bonus points potential. So there is definitely a case to buy him as a 1-week punt, but I think longer term, you'd rather cover Aston Villa offensively with Morgan Rogers, who's even cheaper and a bit more consistent when it comes to the long term. The budget pick for this week is James Garner, who produced 16 points against Nottingham Forest, courtesy of a goal, an assist, maximum bonus points, and securing DEFCON for the 4th consecutive match. He has 2 goals and 3 assists this season, which is very impressive for a 5 million midfielder, and his ownership is so low at 1%. So not only are you getting a very good value pick, but also a massive differential in the process, with 8 bonus points and a lot of defensive contributions, over 200 for the season and 85 FPL points. The fixtures are quite promising for Everton. As disclosed earlier, they are near the top of the FDR for the next 5 game weeks, and 30 shots is wild for a midfielder like Garner, who typically plays in a more defensive position, and sometimes he covers as a fullback, particularly on the left-hand side when Mikolenko is unavailable. 7 shots on target, 10 shots inside the box isn't great, but he's a 5 million midfielder. At least he's got the shot volume, and he has got a few goal contributions this season, with an XG figure of 1.42. The XA is 2.38. Only 1 big chance, but 7 big chance created is incredible in my opinion, and 22 key passes rounds it off. I think Garner is a decent FPL asset, and if you want that sort of 8th attacker and 5th midfielder who can come in from time to time, I think he offers tremendous value at 5 million, and I do prefer him over Granit Xhaka at this moment in time. The most transferred out player is an Arsenal option in Declan Rice, so we've got a lot of Gunners love and hate that is going on in 2026, but the Declan Rice one makes a lot of sense because of the orange flag, but there is a possibility he is available and starts against Bournemouth, and I think by the time we get to the Liverpool game, Rice should be available based on the reports and what Arteta said in his post-match interview. Cucurella, Chalobah, Timber and Voltemada complete the top 5 most transferred out players, followed by Matty Cash, Thiago, Bruno Fernandes, Foden, Eze, who hasn't played in the last couple of matches, Antoine Semenyo, Neto, Calafiori, Mark Gay, Virgil van Dijk, Wilson, Raya, Keane, Cunha, and Joao Pedro. But some of them could be holds, which I talked about in this video and across recent podcasts. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. And thank you very much for watching this video and listening to this podcast. If you enjoyed it or found it insightful, then like this video, subscribe to the channel, and also hit the notification bell so you're always up to date on my content for both FPL and UCL Fantasy. Let's get this video in particular to over 100 likes and closing on new goals like 38k subscribers on YouTube. Follow me on X, Instagram, and Blue Sky, Dylan RCM, and check all the links in the description for my Patreon and the championships, fair likes to my videos, private comments, amongst many other perks. My Discord server, the FPL League, and Spotify can also be found in the description. I'll see you very soon for the next deadline stream, and in the meantime, there'll be a best wildcard squad and my team selection. I wish you a happy new year, enjoy 2026, and may it be full of prosperity, happiness, and success, and I'll see you very soon for more FPL and UCL Fantasy content.